Welcome to the Waiting List podcast. Tell us a story.
It's like many things you start building from scratch.
And then I'm like, wait, I really do like watches because
you've seen so many watches. That makes you excited.
I think I really do like watches.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to see if you are a watch enthusiast.
Welcome everyone back to this podcast with Hon. So again, you can find him at Hon at Hong Kong Watch Guy. So we were continuing because Hon is quite an interesting fellow because he used to be a lawyer, then he changed over to Uber, and now he's the head of business development for Hong Kong and Taiwan.
Yeah, super great to have you back. Thanks for doing it again.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed the last.
Great sunny day, super humid in August.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember Daniel's wearing the same blue shirt though.
I don't have much of a wardrobe and I'm still stuck here. I hope I don't remember those words.
So, so before we continue to the another watch segment, I do want to begin back with Uber because last time we spoke, there was actually an interesting topic we want to share about, and that was like the future of city travel. So you did kind of mention to me about some sort of like future and how you can live in quite a long distance and get to Central in like 5 minutes. What's that about?
Oh, you're talking about the so-called flying taxis, right?
That's the one.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think at the moment we still have plans to commercialize it by 2022, I believe, 2023, something like that.
What, 2-3 years from now?
Yeah.
We've seen literally flying cars.
really
Wait a
fast.
second.
Hang
What?
on, okay, it's called flying cars, but can someone explain that to me? Is it actually flying cars?
Like Futurama.
I kind of wish it was like a car that could like suddenly the wheels turn into like, you know.
Oh, Back to the Future?
Yeah, I wish it could be. I wish it was like that, but it's not.
Or
quite.
Minority Report?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're saying a car driving on the road then just takes off?
Well, he said that.
Why not take off in the first place? Why drive and go? Wait a
But what
second,
is what when you
too
say
bad.
flying cars? You talk obviously because you asked the question, you know what he's talking about.
of course, sorry.
But I don't.
Yeah.
What is flying cars?
Let me clarify. I wish it was like that, but it's not. It's imagine a slightly bigger helicopter, but it has virtual takeoff and landing capability. So the propeller at the moment in the helicopter is fixed, right? Not the propeller, the rotor.
Yeah.
And it's fixed. So this at the moment the designs are that it will turn. So there are aircrafts out there already that has this kind of feature. I'm kind of using my hands to kind of show you what it looks like when you can't see it on the podcast. But basically there are military planes like that already, and so it's really commercializing that technology.
So kind of like a big drone, basically. But
Yeah.
It's like a Harrier then.
Harry had wings with these kind of jet propulsion
Yeah.
and stuff on the side.
Oh, okay, not jets.
Similar, but it's not like a jet. It's just imagine a bigger helicopter with maybe seats for 8 people.
Okay.
And it basically takes off from a fixed location like a helipad, and then goes to another location with kind of like a helipad. So
So does Uber own this business or they own shares in this particular one?
So we're developing the technology. We're engaging a lot of stakeholders. As you can imagine, if you're talking about air travel, it involves just a massive amount of stakeholder management. You're talking government level, city level, transportation regulators, whatnot. And so we've actually engaged them early on. And so maybe this is different to the way we had engaged kind of ground transportation when we first started. So this one's kind of like an idea we came up with, but we've involved everybody. And so a lot of companies are super interested in getting into it, because if you're making a plane or you're making a helicopter, this is a great new business line for you. This is like another use case for you where you can, increase your revenues and profit maybe. So everyone's very, very interested in this space. And as Alex said, it could be possible like in Hong Kong where someone could live in Sai Kung. And right now there's like one road out of Sai Kung to Han Hao, basically.
Like 3-hour waiting list just to get out of there.
Yeah, so you can avoid all of that by...
I'm thinking Central down to Tai Po, man.
Exactly, you could do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, in probably 5 minutes.
Awesome.
So can normal citizens take it then?
So it's designed for normal people to take, yeah. So
I'm thinking, would it be would it be fair to say it will be a good time to buy into insurance companies, because they got to update the insurance policy, right? Because this thing could, we don't know if it's safe, right?
Yeah. It's a completely new industry. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So you can. So the idea is that you can use your Uber app now. Or not now, sorry. In
Yeah.
the future, to just get one of these rides, and you'll
that's
probably
amazing.
be, diverted to a building that has, the ports that you can use, and then, Central's a great example because there's actually a lot of helipads
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Central
yeah.
that are underutilized.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
totally.
they're
Yeah.
on the buildings, but they're used
Yeah.
maybe once a week or
Yeah.
something. So imagine just creating
Once a week for Alex.
for Alex, yeah.
Sufficient. It'll be interesting to see as well the impact of that technology on house prices. Because house prices in Hong Kong is related to how convenient it is, right? Once you shorten that journey down, I think everybody Hong Konger will really understand, like, for some reason in this place, everybody's got to be 15 minutes within something, within wherever they have to go to, right? Which is kind of like actually unreal expectation. But potentially with that, you're going to shorten so many journeys that living in Central or living in Admiralty or Wan Chai, all those hot places right now, might not be so relevant because that convenience factor is very high value, but actually the living factor in those places isn't that high.
Mm-hmm.
People now, they do want a bit of green. They do want to have a bigger space. They want to have better air. They actually want to get out of the face of people because they're seeing people all the time. So it'd be interesting to see if actually then, let's say, Tai Po or New Territories then picks up because you got more space, you got more green. When you're off work, you can do more. You can take the dog out, all that kind of stuff, which is actually from a lifestyle aspect way more desirable.
The people listening to this podcast, because of all these opinions that we just had, right? I made comments, right? They're either going to become broke or really rich, like listening to this advice.
What do you mean, like, because I'm giving them investment advice?
Investment advice, buying
Yeah.
into AIA or whatever.
Well, I personally
Uber.
have a bit of property down in Tai Po, so
Yeah.
can you make sure you put that one on the list to
Can
get?
it fit a helipad?
Yeah.
No, that's a great point. I mean, I actually think it changes, so philosophically, right? It changes the way we look at cities.
Yeah.
And so in some ways, there's a use case for this already. So before we started Uber ground transportation in LA, people, and so in LA, people never used to kind of go out. Well, they went out drinking, but they had to drive everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so there's always a designated driver.
Yeah.
And that was like, socially, that's a terrible experience.
Yeah.
Now we've seen that kind of car ownership has dropped and people don't have to be that designated driver. So they're having more fun and they're getting home safely. So actually, it's already changed the way places like LA are, like people are behaving. And I think to your point about property prices, it's super interesting because I do live close to Central, but I would love actually to have more space.
Right.
I'd love to live next to the beach. But I also like to be in Central in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? And I think this is incredibly interesting. Yeah.
So the talk is actually, before this Uber Air, should I call it, is like autonomous vehicles. Now, everyone's been kind of moving towards that direction. Do you think that's a big mistake? Because why settle for transportation, which you will still have to sit in for an hour, regardless if it's driven by an autonomous vehicle or a person? So would that kind of change everything?
Yeah, I think autonomy generally. Yeah, I think it will. I was reading a report recently. So even if you drive yourself, so forget about Uber. If you drive yourself and you don't no longer have to drive yourself, I think Toyota were coming out with a kind of like a pod, if you like, with wheels, and in that pod, it's you can make that your home office. So in your commute to work, you could work, or
Would be very
it could
good
be,
for me and Long because we suffer from motion sickness.
Oh, well, you can sleep. There's
That's a good
you
idea.
create it into a sleep pod.
There's food in there as well.
Yeah.
You can even put a gym in there, actually. So
Whoa, that is a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, just do the gym before. Put a shower in there too.
that would be amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
Especially in Hong
Massage
Kong.
table, actually.
That just sounds like a house.
A moving house.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it's like the productivity is limitless in terms of you're just getting rid of dead time.
Yeah.
And driving is a lot of fun, though, don't get me wrong. And
Yeah.
I would hate not to be able to drive. And in some ways, it's some of the challenges that we're facing in the watch industry as well. Right?
Yeah, I was just about to say that in the fact that watches became from something that was functional and relevant to, but now you're touching on cars being something pleasurable and a luxury, right? I totally see where you're coming from, and when we talked about those cars and people going on a night and being designated driver, forget that. Now we don't even for me. I much prefer to take top class Uber, right? That is comfortable. I don't have to worry about parking. I don't have to worry about the tickets. I don't even have to spend time driving. I can actually do functional on because as you said before, we can manage our life with the iPhone or, a computer. And it's just, great. And it doesn't have a stigma of being, you don't have wealth, So, because you've now classified like a certain thing and people, but then even when you do the sums, even for somebody that, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for insurance. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
Right? And way more convenient.
Yeah, your life's better and you save money.
And then talk about like what you said about autonomous vehicles, right? So most people will think, okay, when I hear that, I just think I don't have to drive the car. But when I was speaking to some people in China, what it actually involves is, okay, that is one autonomy. What it is they have so much data on your lifestyle. They know Alex Lau is downstairs at 8:30. The car's there. So you don't even have to call the car, right? Yeah. And it just goes straight. And then when you finish work, you're off. So on these natural habits you have, that's autonomy. Can you imagine that? That's crazy.
They're already doing that
with
Didi. But obviously you always have people who are like, oh my God, they're like invading my life. But I'm always like, no, you have to embrace this change. It's making your life more efficient.
It's whether or not you embrace change, change is inevitable.
Yeah.
And resisting it doesn't help anybody, doesn't help you, right?
Yeah.
Because I just want to add a little bit on that note, because there was a great book called Autonomy by Larry Burns and Lawrence Burns. And it was actually had an interview with the Google guy. So Larry Page, before he was CEO, when DARPA was actually creating this technology, Waymo, he was asked, what do you think of this particular business? And he says, if it's done well, this business will be bigger than Google. So that goes to show these guys will definitely put money into it and make it happen. And the one that I do want to go into is actually the truck business. So, I mean, is Uber being involved in the autonomous truck vehicle business? What's that about?
We have a bit of history in that for sure. We have a business called Freight. So, but yeah, autonomous trucks, I guess autonomous anything is interesting, but trucks in particular, because, tend to be long distances, straight lines, pretty much, until you get to a city, right, where you might have to have some navigation. And those long distances are, I mean, I think there was some report I was looking before this podcast. It said 94% of all accidents are down to some sort of human error. And so I just imagine a world, just take away the kind of intricacies, but I imagine a world where all these vehicles are somehow connected, right, in a network. And they know that this truck is coming down this highway at 80 miles per hour in 50 seconds. It's going to reach you. This car that you're sitting in also knows that and knows to get out of the way or knows not to kind of get in the path. I think that world is super interesting because I think, A, it saves lives. B, it makes the journey just more not just safer, but just more pleasurable, right? You can avoid traffic jams. I don't know if you ever
it would, because like you got a bunch of idiots that don't know how to brake on the road, right? And that causes traffic jams. It's not the fact, it's not the pile up. It's the fact that people don't know how to brake, right? That's what you're hinting
the
at.
wave delay, basically. Right?
I mean, how many times have you been in the car and there's a traffic jam and then you go past the actual incident? Actually, it's nothing.
Yeah, most of the time it's because like Chinese people are. Okay, not Chinese people. People are like being nosy and thinking, oh, how bad is that? Yeah, I'll slow down and have a look, yeah? Oh, yeah, it wasn't that interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Right?
Someone clipped my mirror.
I'm talking about like the trucks, though. I have a friend that actually does logistics and, that kind of thing. And she actually looked at that and developed a system for her own company whereby you don't know if you think about it, but if you drive on the left, and you turn left, which means you don't have to cross over to the other side, it's more efficient on fuel. So you can actually map out, and actually for a large company, fuel is a big cost. And they can make it way more efficient like that. And so they were mapping all these routes, and then also they're looking at the times, then you can work out the vehicles, all this kind of stuff. Obviously it's not where you don't have to drive the truck yet, but it was already going that way.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So they're looking at the routes.
Definitely the routes, yeah. And also you've got the data on the traffic. Yeah. So you can make your route, not only is it efficient on fuel, it's time. So when you say you're going to deliver something, it's actually on time or ahead of time. You have a better control over the time. Yeah.
That's super interesting. That's really cool. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she patented it. Actually.
Oh, good
yeah.
for her.
That's a new one. But we have to bring it back to watches. So in terms of like opportunities we're talking about, have you had any missed opportunities in watches?
Oh, missed opportunities. I was listening to your podcast, Alex, and your missed opportunities seems like a big one.
Yeah, it's quite a nasty one. You kind of haunt me with it.
I've not had one at that level, I have to say. But going back to my part one podcast when I was talking about being able to go into a store and buy a sports Rolex, I used to see Batmans everywhere in Hong Kong, just on the window on the windowsill. Oh, sorry, on the display windows. And I love GMTs. I just, when you can get it, you don't want it as much.
Yeah.
And they're available everywhere.
I know.
And now they're not. I kind of would love one on retail. But yeah, a missed opportunity would be buying sports watches at retail easily.
Yeah, it's with watch people, I always find that
You could have bought it, but
you always max your budget out to the ridiculous amount where you actually have to add a little bit on. You start off, I got 5k comfortable, but it's never enough. You think, hang on, if I sell my kidney, I can actually get this watch here, right? And it has to kick you in the balls. I think, oof, okay, I've got it now. But yeah, it's weird, isn't it, with watch guys? It's like that. It is actually like that.
It is.
I will actually, I know, buy this RM and eat noodles for at least 2 months. Right, pot noodles, and I'll be okay. I can actually live my life like that.
So I have a real life experience very recently where I bought my data graph and I forgot about all the other costs coming in. So in Hong Kong, you pay your 2 years worth of tax, right?
Yeah.
So I forgot about that. And then I just bought a new place and I hadn't paid the bills for the renovation. That came in. Okay. So that all came in 1 month. And I was like, oh my God, I don't have enough money. I literally didn't have enough money. I had to do some sort of bridging loan with my mum to get it sorted.
That's embarrassing. Because your mom's like, huh? What? And then she starts to worrying. But that's unique because that means you have a data. Which generation do you have?
It's the first generation. 39.
What is it? Same as mine.
Yeah. Same as yours.
So man, we need to get those three together and take a trio shot because it's not that common. You see that.
Yeah.
It's
true. First gen ones as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
I was really intrigued by the reference numbers in Lange's actually. So there is a spreadsheet going on online with so I guess Pateks are easier and Rolex are easier because there's more academia around it. Mm-hmm. But Lange, when you look at the reference numbers, I was really curious to see whether mine was an early data graph.
Mine's a late one.
Yeah,
mine's a late one. Yeah,
I think mine's an early one, but
they changed it a little bit.
They have, right?
Yeah, they changed the data graph early versions and the later versions. There's a slight change in the movement.
Right.
Has your one patinaed where the subdials are?
It definitely isn't as white as what I've seen in the shops. But I don't know if that's patina or a material that they've used in the first batch. But mine's really early. So mine was the provenance, not a huge provenance, but I've seen their service papers, and it went to a Hong Kong government official.
Wow.
It got sent to government offices, right? And it had a name on it. I can't remember the name for the life of me right now, but it wasn't a Chinese name. Okay. So it was really interesting. And it's really early reference. It starts with 139. So it's super, super early. In the data graph. I've never seen one. So I've been hunting for an earlier reference number online. I've never seen one earlier.
That's really
far.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got some history right
I
here.
want to see it side by side and then compare the colors.
should.
You need U3 and a default graph, and you've basically got the full set.
Yeah, Lung's got the default graph.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's quite cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'd love to see that, actually. I've never seen that real life.
It's beautiful. You put it with the blue strap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. It works so well. Okay, then we have to ask, have you bought or sold any watches that you've regretted?
I've bought many watches I regretted.
Gerard Perregaux.
Don't forget his first ladies market watch collection.
Oh, yeah, and that. I forgot about that.
Do you still have those?
Yeah, that's
I have a
what
few of those.
Yeah.
That's
You try
so-
with
Are
the
they
person
working?
that will keep a lot of stuff.
Yeah. They are working.
That's so cool.
They are still working.
Well, it says a lot about the watch industry. Well, I mean, like, at the end of the day, a lot of movements are just,
Made in China anyway.
yeah, and then they are put into, they're cased up, aren't they? So it's just like how cars have a certain engine. You know, it's some of those engines, especially in Toyotas and Hondas, like, they're never going to fail, are
Yeah,
they?
that's
Yeah.
right.
Well, that is said in the car industry. Actually, if you look at someone from the Audi group, someone from Skoda, Seat shares the same parts as an Audi, even maybe a Bentley.
Yeah, I mean, okay, if you say Audi and Bentley, I get it.
Yeah.
But Skoda, like, can we just... Nah, I didn't hear
Yeah.
that.
Don't diss
Yeah,
Skoda; they're
okay.
really good now.
You just killed it for long there.
I'm looking forward to the time when Chinese manufacturers of fake watches
Yeah.
Yeah.
would turn their
Skill.
brilliance
Yeah.
Exactly.
into something original.
I thought you
Okay,
were
so something that
something productive.
No, you touched upon there is we did a podcast with Oscar Wang. Now, one of his, he always bangs on about it with fashion brands. Like when I'm talking about Alex, and he's saying, oh, you know, these the branding's wrong. You know, it's all wrong. You know, you can so tell it's Chinese, right? But then he met Oscar that is involved in bringing brands to China. He's developing his own stuff. I'm sure, even though it wasn't in his same segment that he's interested, he thought, oh, do you know what? He's definitely know what he's going to do with the brand. Because if I actually showed what we talked about, the Fendi collab with him, if I showed you, you think that's cool. You know, it's really, really cool. So
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it'll be exciting that day.
But okay, so we're digressing. Going back to watches that you regretted, you can't hide from it. So okay, the watches that you
really banging
regretted.
for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I do regret buying my Gera Perigos.
Why?
They're hard to sell.
Poof. Double blow.
It's like they should just
I'm sorry,
find out.
Right,
want-
let's move on.
I just want to hold back to a podcast previously. I said I went to a store once and I said to them, "What's so good about Gera Perigo?" And she said to me, "Yeah, we sold 3 of these watches last month." And I was like, "Is that good or bad?" You know, so it's kind of like that similar situation. Okay. So apart from watches, what other interests do you have, Hon?
I like sports, so I play a lot of football. I do a bit of investing, getting into kind of thinking about next ventures in kind of like 5 to 10 years time. So investigating a few things, and yeah, generally properties also interest me. I love properties. I wish I had more money to buy more properties, but yeah, love stuff like that.
Which football team do you support?
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Oh,
Boo.
man.
Boo, guys.
I'm
Not a glory hunter, by the way.
I'm a Man United
Yeah,
fan.
that's it. We've got to end this
Ooh,
conversation
okay.
right
Yeah.
here. Like, end this
Yeah,
conversation
this
right
is
here.
the last podcast we have with Hon. Yeah.
Hey, I
Yeah.
felt
You have
what
shit
you were
taste in
feeling for a
watches
long
now.
time.
No, okay, so do you wear watches when you're playing football, though?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't. So I play in Hong Kong in a lot of leagues and
What position are you?
midfield. So
Okay.
Centre mid, right
central,
mid?
yeah.
What, are you
although I'm getting-
defensive or
I try to
playmaker?
be more attacking.
Okay, try.
I'm slowing down though. I'm 38 now.
No, but that's the point. AMs don't have to be quick. Like, look at Zidane and stuff. They're not exactly
Oh,
quick.
he's not
but-
Zidane though, is he?
How do you know?
No. I raised the standard. No, he's a Liverpool fan, isn't he? So
Harsh. Yeah, I mean, look,
He could be a Wijnaldum running around like not doing actually anything.
hey, look at Jordan Henson. Everyone was like
Yeah,
saying
he's got a funny
terrible.
run though.
He has,
He's
but he's
got a
very
funny
effective.
run.
Very effective. No, football's a big part of my life, and I don't wear watches. Although I do wear my Casio probably to football matches because you don't care about losing
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
When I was in England, we played so I was a part of my time I was in Oxford, and we played another college, and so it was in I can't remember which park it was, right? But there was this like changing room, right? And who we thought was the caretaker came up to one of us and said, "Oh, you can leave your stuff in there. I'll lock it for you." And we thought, "Oh, great, yeah, great." And then we walked over to the pitch, played the match. Turned out it wasn't the caretaker, and he nicked
really?
everything.
No way.
Everything.
What did you have?
I had nothing at the time, though. I was a student.
But what did...
Wallets, the phones,
I think,
and everything.
yeah, wallets and phones and.
he
and
must have been...
yeah.
Smarter.
Smart though. Smart.
that was
though.
in Oxford.
That was in Oxford.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oxford is I studied in Oxford,
Ah,
like
okay.
for college at A levels.
Mm.
Yeah, a bit deceiving like that because it has that reputation of
Being safe.
being safe, high education. People obviously that walk there supposed to be really clever, But there is an underbelly in Oxford that
Definitely.
not quite tasteful.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I was going to compare it to Hong Kong, where that doesn't happen, and so
No,
wearing watches.
don't wish for it.
But wearing watches to a football game,
Yeah.
possible, but I tend not to.
Okay. And now that you travel as well, do you still wear a watch when you travel? And I know you go to some certain locations. Are you concerned about what watches you bring?
Yeah. Travel's an interesting one. I mean, we all travel around this table, right? When the pandemic's over, and it's hard to pick a watch when you travel. So I end up bringing maybe 2 watches. So one for kind of normal wear and one for maybe like a business meeting or something. But I love GMT and world timers. Absolutely love those. And I love going swimming in a hotel. So
You actually wear the watch swimming?
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to find a world timer or
You are
GMT,
gutsy.
really?
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Really? Not even a dive watch or
No.
really?
Yeah,
Well,
I'll take it off. I don't know if you guys noticed, but generally when I go into a place, even when I go home or the
He
watch
takes
comes
off
off.
the watch, yeah.
Yeah, have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do that?
No.
Yeah.
Actually, I've got a friend of mine, which I give massive credit for. He's got the white 5711. He actually goes swimming in it.
Okay.
That's pretty rocking.
So is that are you telling
Yep.
me that this is the end?
That's
I
the
feel
end
really
for now.
sad now.
And now we have
Yeah.
to
I was
do the
enjoying
quickfire
my-
rounds.
my-
I know, but I mean,
My conversation with Hon.
and Liverpool, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but we're
You
gonna
obviously
have
heard the Liverpool part and you basically kicked him out. I'm literally like
Exactly.
5 minutes since he mentioned you say that. It's the end of the interview.
I got
Okay.
disappointed. Right
Well,
there.
we'll have to get you on again, right?
No, thank you.
Yeah,
we will,
like,
we will.
and hopefully you can share more.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now we have to go to the quickfire round. So just tell us basically, are you into petrol or electric cars?
Petrol.
Okay. Any particular?
Current particular brand.
I would love a 911 one day.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Good guy.
Very, very
vintage
visceral
Yeah.
feeling. That one. It is does feel like an animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hong Kong or London?
London.
Okay. Hong Kong or the UK? So I'm asking you to also include
Milton
London.
Keynes and
You've got the
Northampton,
whole of
Scotland.
London.
Like-
Oh, wow.
Well,
The
this
whole
is
of the UK included. How far north are we going?
Right.
We're gonna get some
Yeah.
negative comments here, right? Ignore that one. Right, digress.
There's some parts in North I've never even been to, right? I don't think I've been past Manchester.
That's pretty north.
Yeah, it's pretty north.
pretty
yeah,
north.
but there's actually like another half, which if you include like Durham and Kevin at AP, he studied at Durham.
Oh.
I've never even I don't know anything
I
about
never
it.
looked up the maps that far,
Yeah.
basically.
But what's your answer?
Hong Kong in winter's nice. I would say Hong Kong in summer is pretty suffocating. I would say UK.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love winter in the UK
Yeah.
because that whole Christmas thing comes. It's amazing. Yeah. Sub or Patek? Your sub or your
Ooh.
Patek, which is
Your
it's
sub is your
Calatrava,
first
isn't it?
Patek, and this,
Yeah.
just
Oh man, I mean, probably my Patek. But
Yeah.
then I can never sell my sub because it's my first.
Which one though, the real one or the fake one?
Oh yeah, good question. Long. I can't sell this one either. I just love it. It's just,
I see you wearing that a lot. It really fits
beautiful.
you and fits
Yeah.
your
Oh,
person.
thank
I
you.
also think it fits your
vibe.
your lifestyle. So what you do. I think
Mm.
it's a good watch to wear. Very
Yeah.
good all round. Very flexible.
Yeah.
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 I'm very nervous wearing this watch though because it's quite fragile.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be. I think it's one of Patek's first waterproof watches, and I don't really like it taking it in the rain.
Isn't it known for, because the enamel's cracking, so is that a particular reason for it as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just scared of knocking into something and cracking the enamel, which would just hurt me.
Yeah.
Hurt the bank balance.
Okay. Royal Oak or Nautilus?
Royal Oak,
Okay. Ramen or yakitori?
ramen.
Okay. Ramen or sushi?
Ooh. Depends where we're talking about. I think sushi. I think.
Okay.
It just depends on what you feel like at a particular time.
Okay. You're obviously not that big a fan.
No, like in winter, you just want a ramen because it's like hot and hearty.
Hot pot or dim sum?
Dim sum.
Okay.
But it all depends on where you have dim sum as well. I've had it in Birmingham. It's pretty bad. Chinatown in Birmingham, for all those listeners out there.
Yeah, that's because you were closer to Birmingham, right? I take it.
Yeah,
you would have been.
Did you go to Leicester Square?
Yeah, no, we had dim sum in Milton Keynes. I went to visit a friend.
Yeah, that's crap.
Yeah, it's not good.
Really
Terrible.
bad, mate. It's just avoid.
Did you go to Leicester Square often?
Quite often, yeah. Yeah, Jade Garden was my favorite.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The best restaurant for you in town?
Oh man, this is so hard. I would say the most enjoyable restaurant.
Yeah.
Right now, I really enjoy going to a place like Peachy. It's like not pretentious. It's reasonable.
Is that PICI, that one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
Is that above
There's a couple.
AP House?
No, there's a couple. There's one near Elgin Street,
Correct.
and there's another one in Admiralty near Star Street.
yeah,
it's called,
Star
is
Street.
it called Moon Street? I don't know. It's one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's just a good vibe.
Yeah, it's a good vibe.
I mean, there's definitely better restaurants around.
Yeah.
But
You feel comfortable there.
yeah, for me, it's just a nice vibe. And
Yeah.
it's cool. Yeah.
Any pet peeves?
In watches.
Okay.
Yes. Not being water resistant. Sorry, or having a much of a depth rating.
So not waterproof, basically, right?
Yeah.
You actually want to go swimming in it.
Yeah. No, I guess when you pay a lot of money for a watch,
Yeah.
I would expect it almost, right? So a lot of people say, you're not going to take your watch to go diving. I get that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to take my 911 to go racing either. But I want the optionality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And,
kind of like why all those people, those Chelsea tractors.
Yeah.
Right, like it's supposed to go like 45 degrees up a mountain, in the Highlands in Scotland, But actually, I just wanted to be able to drive in the rain and go up a curb when I park. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That.
It just gives you comfort to know you can handle a bit of rain.
Yeah.
Right?
And have you ever
Overdoing it.
Have you ever been to an Italian wedding in Italy?
No, I haven't. No.
So I went to one last year in southern Italy, like beautiful, amazing. And we drove there from Rome, and it took quite a long time to get to the heel of the boot, right, in Italy. And so it's a very traditional Italian wedding. A friend of mine who works at, what's the group that owns Ulysses Nardin and Gerald?
Kering, isn't it?
Kering,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so he works at the Kering Group as part of their jewelry division and heading up one of the retail parts. And his wife, I think, is also in fashion. So it was a very kind of like, you can imagine the type of wedding, right? And so I didn't realize that after Italian weddings, the whole kind of ceremony's over, have a big meal, and there's always a swimming pool. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And we were all wearing our like very fancy suits and whatnot. And then people push you into the pool. Like, I'm not kidding. So 2 Italian friends who live in Hong Kong. Unsuspectingly.
Okay.
Well, to the uninitiated like myself, right?
Okay.
So I was wearing, I can't remember what it was. I was wearing a Seamaster, but it was a vintage one. And
Okay.
definitely not waterproof. Like, completely would have died.
Oh my god.
And it was not expensive, right? But I could have been wearing, my Patek here or something like the Datograph.
Yeah.
And so I had 2 Italian friends who dragged me from the starter station where we were having like Parma ham or something, and literally physically dragged me off my feet and were going to throw me into the pool. The only thing that stopped them from doing it was my pleas of saying, no, my watch, I can't. And so you had people getting thrown into the pool, and their iPhones go. And there's a guy in a Brioni suit who was like, the entire suit was ruined. So luckily I escaped it, but I think from practicality reasons, I would want my
After
watch
that
to
fear.
be waterproof. Yeah.
Is that cultural? Is it actually
Apparently.
So it's like a thing that they do.
An Italian thing, yeah.
Man, I am not
Having
wearing
an Italian
expensive
wedding.
expensive suit. To be honest, that would piss me off.
Yeah.
Right.
FYI, if you ever get invited to an Italian
Thanks
wedding.
for that.
Well, on that note, that actually unfortunately ends this podcast. It's been such a pleasure, Hon. So thank you for being here. So where do we find you, Hon, again?
HK Watch Guy on Instagram.
Fantastic. And you can follow us at the Waiting List Podcast. I mean, we had a lot of fun. We're going to get Hon here again at some point. So, really good fun, and hope to see you guys soon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hon. Had a great
Thanks
time.
for having me.
I miss you already.
Yeah, exactly.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you
guys.
for tuning
Bye.
in to the Waiting List Podcast. Hit the subscribe button, and the next episode will come straight to your phone as soon as it's ready. Whilst I'm here, please remember to leave a nice review and follow us on Instagram at the Waiting List Podcast.